Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Paul, and this is the channel where snoopers go and snoop, scoopers go and scoop, and as always, poopers go and poop. Episode 7 of Wandavision ended with a bigger cliffhanger than the cliffhanging in the movie Cliffhanger, and throughout this video we're going to be giving our theories for the future of the show. Now first up, I want to discuss what I think the general aesthetic of episode 8 as a whole will be. Before episode 7 aired, Twitter user Lunwin88 asked whether people thought the entry would be a flashback or the Modern Family episode. At the time, I said I thought that we'd get the Modern Family one, a big cliffhanger ending, and that 8 would be a flashback before dealing with the consequences of said cliffhanger for the finale. After watching 7, I definitely think that I'm on the money with this, and I believe that in 8 we will get a flashback that probably begins with Agatha's origin story during the Salem witch trials. People have a lot of questions over the character, and therefore I think that it will be the best way to start off the entry in something that is in the same vein as Monica's After the Snap. Now in the comics, Agatha is a witch that's over 10,000 years old, and I kind of think that this will be skipped over, and instead we'll just see that she was born in the 1600s and then became a witch just before the trials began. During them, she will marry her soul to the devil, and this is why she said her and Ralph's anniversary was on June 2nd, aka the date that they started. This is something we've banged on about for a while in our videos, but I keep coming back to it purely because witches were often referred to as the bride of Satan, and as we now know for definite she's a witch, it just makes so much sense. After that, I can see the episode showcasing Wanda going to the sword facility to take Vision's body after finding out that it's been weaponized against his will. As Vision technically isn't a human, he doesn't have the same rights as one, and I think that this will be the straw that breaks the camel's back in terms of Wanda's grief. She seemed to be accepting of his death at the end of Endgame, and in order to warrant the creation of the Hex, I think there needs to be a reveal that he's being used for some ulterior motives. That pun was meant to be ulterior motives with Ultron in there. Look, it worked on paper, just not in the video, but we probably will see her storming the sword facility from her point of view, which I actually think was shown in the trailers. I'm kind of torn on whether she will take the body or not. I think that it might be revealed that she actually left the facility without it, and that Hayward still has it in a drawer, which has caused a lot of confusion. This could explain why Vision isn't able to leave the Hex. However, as always, I'm not hedging my bets on just one thing yet, and it is possible that Wanda did take it, but because she didn't have the Mind Stone, she wasn't able to resurrect him. Thus Agnes came along and showed how to bring him back to life, and in doing so, she also taught her how to create the Hex. It's also possible that the Grim Reaper was involved in this due to his helmet appearing in episode 2, though that could just be an Easter egg that links back to the comics. Now Agnes, or rather the person who was Agatha all along, had ulterior motives. I'll stop with that. She had ulterior motives and also wanted Wanda to create some powerful beings, and thus kept her imprisoned in the Hex while she subliminally suggested to her that she have children. I think episode 9 will then show the defeat of Agatha before Wanda and Vision have to fight for their home against Sword. In the trailers, we see Wanda wearing what looks to be the same scarlet hoodie that she had on in episode 7, so that just makes the most sense to me, though that scene could also be the cliffhanger that ends episode 8. Now after seeing Agatha's lair in an Empire Strikes Back-esque ending, I think it's safe to assume that there's more than one evil witch in the town. Due to all of the varying sigils, it appears that there might be several witches operating in the area, and if you know Agatha from the comics, then you'll be well aware that she headed up a coven. I actually think that the women's meeting was the witches getting together, and that we will learn Dottie and co are also in on it too. They're doing it for the children because witches actually eat kids, and this is why there's so many missing as well. I know that's a bit of a wild theory, but if it's true, then the story about Agnes buying a kid, it holds way more meaning, and that joke is pretty messed up when you really look into it. Now another thing that you have to be aware about is that covens all worship someone or something, and thus I do think that there will be an even bigger bad behind it all. If you've been watching my breakdowns, then you'll know I've kind of gone back and forth over whether Mephisto is in the show or not, and I definitely think that there's someone that we aren't seeing, which could of course be Ralph. In the lair there was a goat's head, which is typically a symbol of Satan, as well as some faces that look like the devil's. I kind of have a feeling that what Disney will do is that they'll set up a big bad behind everything that kind of slots into the TV shows too. This is why a devil also appears in the stained glass window during the Loki trailer, and I am holding out hope that Mephisto is linked in some way. Let's be honest, if there's not, then I'm going to look very stupid, but this approach worked for Thanos, and it kind of gives the shows their own big villain that will keep us coming back for more. Now, whenever I bring this up, the first comment is normally about how Disney also want their shows to play well in China, which doesn't typically allow any occult imagery in their media. If I was Disney, I'd just change the name Mephisto to Nightmare in the subtitles and hope that no one noticed, but it is possible that they just mush both Mephisto and Nightmare together and then call them Nightmare. They did something similar in Iron Man 2, where the creative team actually combined both Crimson Dynamo and Whiplash to make the character Whiplash. Now, if they do squash the two together, I don't think it'll give anyone whiplash if they just mix the two, and the pair do have a similar sort of skill set in many ways. Now, if they do go the Nightmare route, I would absolutely love to see him played once more by Mark Hamill. Warstew did a video on this the other day and reminded me that Hamill had played Nightmare in the past through animation. From Paul Bettany, we know that there's still one big character coming down the line that no one has guessed yet. So, what if the Luke Skywalker in the Mandalorian level cameo that they've been teasing is actually none other than Luke Skywalker, and he plays the villain before going off to do Doctor Strange 2? I would absolutely love to see that, but another possibility is that it's Al Pacino, who did admit earlier in the week that he'd met with Kevin Feige. If the Keanu Reeves Ghost Rider rumours are true, then I'd love to see Pacino playing Mephisto, just because the fanboy in me adores the Devil's Advocate, and I would love to see that team up once more, as, you know what, it's one of my favourite films. Also, we know that Mephisto's first appearance was as a fly, and though there wasn't a fly in Agatha's house, there was that cicada, or whatever it's called. Look, I don't know. I'm going to be honest, yeah, in my last breakdown I called it a fly, and so many of you said I was wrong and that it's actually a cicada. The thing is, yeah, I looked this up, and they're actually close to extinction in England, and I've never come across one, so I just thought it was a fly. However, what I do know is that if you're enjoying this video, yeah, please subscribe to the channel. And finally, we know that Vision hasn't appeared on screen with Loki as of yet either, and as we know from the trailers on his show, he will be working with the TVA. I would love to see him pop up at the end of the series, as the Hex definitely falls under the type of thing that they cover, and it would be a great way to just link the shows together. Now, episode 7 ended on a big cliffhanger, not only in the Agatha reveal, but also the post-credit scene itself. I don't know about you, but after it I frantically rushed through all of the other episodes looking to see if they'd had one too, but luckily there wasn't any and I got to keep my channel. However, the post-credit scene was very important, and it showed what appeared to be Monica finding Agatha's basement before being stopped by Evan Peters' Quicksilver. He said Snooper's gonna snoop, and we then cut to black. Now, I think most people assume that he's actually working for Agatha and that he just caught Monica. However, shoutouts to Leo Poja, who contacted me on Friday and said that he might actually have been referring to himself snooping, and that he too may be looking about the property. Quicksilver is a super fast mutant that could easily run up on Monica and kill her faster than you should click the like button on this video, and it seems super weird that he'd just appear like that when he didn't have to. Potentially, Pietro is also looking for his sister, and he just came across Monica whilst this was going on. In the Agatha All Along scene, we do see her controlling him as he arrives at the door, and therefore I don't think he's actually working alongside her. Potentially, he's being possessed by the character, or potentially he's actually a nice guy who just likes looking in people's houses. Now, I hope he's not a villain, as I think it's such a shame to be so close to getting the X-Men in the MCU without doing any major recasts, and it just feels like we'll never be able to trust any actors coming across if the first one is worse than Agatha pushing back Black Widow every 3 months. I know it was you delaying these movies all along, Agatha. I know! Anyway, those are some of the major fan theories, and I wasn't even going to post a video today, but I had so many things floating around in my head that I just had to get this out. I know as soon as it goes live that I'll think, crap, I forgot to mention the entire thing about Amadeus Cho being in it, but it'll be too late by that point, and there's no way that I can possibly edit that in. However, you still have time and can write whatever theories you have in the comments section below. As a thank you for interacting with the video, you'll be entered into a prize draw on the 28th of February, in which we're giving away 3 copies of the Marvel Phase 3 4K box set to our subscribers. All you have to do to be on the chance of winning is like the video, make sure you subscribe with notifications on, and drop a comment below with your thoughts on the theories. The winners of last month's competition are on screen right now, so if that's you, then message me on Twitter at Heavy Spoilers. If you want something else to watch, then make sure you check out our breakdown of episode 7, which will be linked on screen right now. It's just past 1 million views, and because of it, that breakdown is worth the breakdown of my marriage. Definitely give it a watch, and with that out of the way, thank you for sitting through the video. I've been Paul, and I'll see you next time. Take care, peace.